Welcome to our discussion on the critical topic of species threat management. I'm Callum, and today we'll delve into the strengths and weaknesses of current conservation strategies and explore expert insights on how we can improve our efforts to protect endangered species. We'll hear from Peter Dutton, who raises concerns about the current focus on research and monitoring, and Professor Alec Mollison, who advocates for the comprehensive approach these threat management plans offer. Good afternoon, Mr. Dutton. Thank you for joining us today to discuss your views on the species threat management plans.
Good afternoon, thank you for having me.
Earlier this year, you mentioned defunding the Environmental Defence Office, which relates to your overall stance on funding for the natural environment. Can you explain your primary concerns regarding the current approach on species threat management?
Yes, one of my main concerns is the overemphasis on research and monitoring, which takes up 50% of the budgets. Whilst important, this focus often detracts from the direct conservation actions necessary for species recovery. With rising costs in other areas, like the beer tax increase, taxpayer money could be better spent elsewhere.
True. How does this overemphasis on research and monitoring impact the effectiveness of recovery plans?
Well, when too much of the budget is allocated to research and monitoring, it leads to ineffective use of our limited conservation resources. Essential management actions are deferred, and species populations continue to decline. We end up monitoring populations until they're almost extinct without taking effective conservation measures.
Are there any discrepancies in how resources are allocated among different species groups?
Yes, budget allocations vary significantly among taxa. Birds receive less research and monitoring funding compared to amphibians, leading to uneven recovery outcomes, which is unfair and ineffective.
It seems like there is a data deficiency problem. Can you comment on that?
Yes, there is a severe lack of data on species occurrence and abundance trends, hindering our ability to measure and evaluate recovery outcomes effectively. When monitoring is included in plans, it can often be insufficiently conducted.
Well, thank you for your time, Mr. Dutton. It's been a very insightful interview.
Thank you for having me.
I'm here with Professor Mollison today. Thank you for joining us. Firstly, why do you believe spending money and resources on species threat management plans is so important?
Well, species threat management plans provide a structured framework for making informed decisions about conservation actions, prioritising actions based upon the specific needs and threats faced by different species to ensure targeted and effective efforts.
How does the integration of research and monitoring contribute to the success of these recovery plans?
Research and monitoring generate valuable information about a species' ecological threats and responses to interventions, guiding more effective and adaptive management strategies. This continuous data gathering enables evidence-based decisions that enhance conservation efforts, efficiency and effectiveness.
Can you elaborate on the concept of adaptive management within these plans?
Adaptive management involves a repetitive process where ongoing monitoring informs adjustments to conservation strategies. This dynamic approach allows us to refine methods based upon the latest data, leading to better long-term outcomes for the species recovery.
And how do species-specific strategies improve the effectiveness of conservation efforts?
Yes, tailoring strategies to the unique needs of each species is crucial. Recovery plans with specific, measurable and achievable, relevant and time-bound objectives focus on critical actions required for each species recovery, resulting in more successful conservation outcomes.
Thank you, Mr. Mollison.
No worries. No, thank you.
We wrap up our discussion on species and threat management. It's clear that both perspectives raise valuable points for and against the current threat management system. Moving forward, there are several key recommendations we should consider for better conservation outcomes. First, highlighted in a 2011 study by James Watson and others, it is essential to ensure that research and monitoring activities are directly tied to specific management actions. This means creating clear guidelines to balance these activities with action based on the urgency of threats and the status of species. We must push for action-oriented plans and adopt adaptive management framework that allows for real-time adjustments to conservation strategies. This dynamic approach will enable us to respond more effectively to new information and changing conditions. By adopting these recommendations, we can create a more responsive and impactful approach to species threat management, ensuring the survival of our precious wildlife for generations to come. Thank you for joining us on this journey.